What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and I just spent the last 24 straight hours playing nothing but Call of Duty Black Ops 4, mostly because I've been very curious about this. I got it a little bit before launch and really wanted to try and rip into this game to see the good, the bad, and the very, very ugly, because over the course of the last 10 years, I've actually been a little bit of a Call of Duty hater, simply because these games, a lot of times they feel a little bit stale. They never really feel as fun as they should be. Well, with this entry, they decided to try and take the franchise in a very different direction by not giving any sort of story. There is no campaign whatsoever. This is an online-only experience. You are getting multiplayer and nothing else, which is a pretty daring move, but let's see if it works. So what I'm going to have to do here is actually divide this video into 3 separate parts, simply because the 3 main parts of this game are very, very different. There's your standard multiplayer, which is things like team deathmatch and trying to disarm bombs. Blackout, which is Activision's answer to things like battle royale, making it where you jump out of a helicopter, parachute down to an island, grab loot, and try and be the last man standing. And zombies, the thing in this game that really exploded my brain the most because it went so far above and beyond my expectations. Let's begin by talking about the standard multiplayer, since obviously this is what made Call of Duty famous in the first place. And I do want to say that the guns are definitely well balanced. From my count, it seems like there's about 40 different guns you can use, and each one really manages to counteract other weapons. There wasn't a single thing that I really equipped that I instantly felt weak with. There definitely were some things that took a lot more practice, or I had to use them some in order to unlock better scopes and things, but I found that every weapon certainly has its own purpose. I do think that it's really cool the fact that I feel like leveling up a weapon feels better than it ever has. In case you've never played a COD game online, essentially the main thing is the fact that as you go around scoring kills, sliding into safe zones, and winning matches, you're going to get experience points, which levels up your overall account, making it where you get access to different styles of weaponry and equipment. But in order to make it where you can actually customize the gear you enjoy most, you need to use one gun over and over again. Like in my case, I'm using this heavy machine gun and just mowing people down. As I get double kills and really try and score a bunch of points, I'm going to get enough experience for that gun specifically to get stuff like better scopes and things that make it where I can have a better clip or do more damage or have more piercing. And I think that all this is really, really spectacular, but immediately I did notice that not everything is created equal. I think that all the guns are extremely well balanced, but the equipment not so much, especially when it comes to bulletproof vests. So a giant change they've made in this game is that there's no longer auto healing. You're not just some Wolverine super soldier who can get shot in the face and instantly grow his skin back. No. In this, instead what you have to do is every time you're hurt, you manually apply a band-aid to you. You inject yourself and it seals up all your wounds. Well, here's the issue. When you have a bulletproof vest equipped, you're getting essentially an extra 2 bars of health. So obviously, everybody is going to have that. He who has the most health is going to win in most toe-to-toe firefights, unless you're a master like me and gets a ton of headshots. It's not something that's tremendously detrimental, but I really did find myself occasionally getting annoyed about the fact that when it came to equipment, every single person is only going to be using one set of gear. It truly shows the fact that something about this is severely misbalanced. Especially something else about this that I did kind of have a problem with, which is that the level design does not feel particularly inspired. Previous Call of Duties, especially stuff like Modern Warfare 2 or the earlier Black Ops, they had some really tremendous areas for us to fight in. Cool blown out levels or war zones that are just an absolute catastrophe, whereas here, almost everything was just so cliche. You know, things like fancy mansions up in the mountains or a little spot out in the jungle. Nothing about this ever felt cool, and I don't know, it's one of those things where they all felt so stereotypically Call of Duty, I never really got shocked by a cool little detail about one of these maps. This is sort of the way I felt about the specialist class as well. I find it interesting the fact that there are these different ways to try and play, and these really end up becoming basically your way of having things like grenades and your ultimate attacks, but simultaneously, each one feels so similar that I never really felt like I was missing out by playing a particular character. I like the fact that I can shoot grenade launchers or get into trouble by unleashing dogs and dropping barbed wire, but none of these felt so unique that I really wanted to learn one. It just seems like each one of these is a little bit too much just the same. But let's move on to something else, which is probably my favorite part of this entire game, which is Blackout. If you've been subscribed for a while, you know that I am obsessed with Battle Royale games, but something that's really kind of hurt this genre is the fact that you need to have so many working aspects about it. It's not just about having a cool area to fight in or great gear to blast each other with, it's about making sure that each part of it is in perfect tandem. And in Blackout, I actually think they managed to pull it off. This might be the first completely perfect Battle Royale experience. But obviously, part of that's because they were able to put $100 billion into its development. So just real quick, I'm going to explain what Battle Royale is for those who may have missed the memo, because this is something that is still a relatively new genre. Basically, the rules are this. A load of random players are all diving out of these helicopters and can fly to any point in the area. Using your wingsuit, you can glide to things like an insane asylum that has zombies in it, or a lighthouse that might have a shotgun inside, or maybe the shipping yard. Once you land, though, the real game begins. It is now a rush to try and find the strongest guns you can that you're actually skilled with and to kill everybody around you. The very last person on the entire island who's still drawing breath is the winner. But there's an extra part of this, which is the fact that there is a laser barrier that's constantly crushing in every 2 minutes, meaning that you can't just hide in a bathroom and shoot out the doorway whenever people walk up. You need to be on the move, collecting equipment, and ready to fight the second action comes down. Now, I want to say that I think that the island size and the detail of it is very, very amazing. It's in that really good sweet spot of the fact that I never was really hurting to find that next fight. If I was looking for trouble, I could very easily find it. There's not 100 players in this like a lot of other Battle Royale games, but instead 88, which is a very specific digit that I think may increase later on. But I do love this island a bunch because it has so many cool small spots to hide in, or secret stashes to uncover. I mean, there were so many great moments of times where I'm like flying around in a helicopter, or secretly climbing on top of a water tower to try and interrupt two snipers killing each other in the middle of a small city. This is so freaking fun. This is what I've always hoped Battle Royale would be. And the reason it really functions as good as it does is the fact that this is still built on the foundation of Call of Duty weaponry. I mean, there's just so many different guns and things you can put on them. I really found myself trying to just experiment and find all the different combinations I was the best at. That way, I could really just be able to kill anyone with anything I find. Something I did have an issue with is that there was still some problems with load times. I'm not sure what exactly causes this, but when I touch down for about 25 seconds, it still makes it where everything that's just supposed to be laying there, items and such, will a lot of times be invisible, and I can't really figure out why, which made it where sometimes I would end up just diving, going through a window, and as soon as I'm on the ground, just literally hammering square to try and pick up invisible gear so I don't end up gunless in that first big firefight. Overall, I do have to say that this is a very, very awesome mode, but something about it definitely seems like it needs a little bit of refinement. Even the slightest bit of lag, which I did encounter here and there, seemed to screw up some of those really intense moments. But I do think that these are things that'll be improved as they manage to patch it some and improve the servers. So the last thing that we really need to dig into is zombies. The thing that, honestly, I believe that probably at least 10 million people are going to be buying this game simply for this mode. And I will say that right up front, this is finally what I wanted. I mean, in the past, I never really enjoyed the zombies modes that much, simply because a lot of them felt overly straightforward. It was just a matter of dropping into a map, shooting a couple zombies, and eventually getting overwhelmed. But it never really felt spectacular or amazing. It felt really dry. Whereas here, I can honestly tell you, it is craziness. And that is what I think zombies needed more than anything else. The new stuff they've introduced here is so wacky, I can't help but enjoy it, even as somebody who previously didn't exactly kind of enjoy this mode in general. So let's talk about what's really different. First and foremost, there is definitely a more fantasy focus to everything. Like, let me talk about my favorite map by far, which is this gladiatorial arena. So as you go through this, you're of course trying to blast the undead, and every time you hit them, you earn currency, which are like zombie bucks. Using this, you can actually spend it to open up new areas or buy weaponry as you come across it on the walls or in the random item box. Now, that's something we've all seen before, but here, I think that everything is spaced out a lot better. Like, specifically, in this gladiatorial arena, I really like the fact that basically every single corner of the map that you go to has something very different about it. Like, one area looks like Athens, Greece, or another spot looks like a torture dungeon, and there's these big mysterious gongs that were tucked at each of the four corners. So part of the reason that a lot of people get so addicted to the zombies mode is the fact that there's just so much weird, cool stuff to do on every single map, and the only way to figure it out is to go there and just try different things and to see what gets you killed and what actually works. And on this map, I noticed the fact that early on we were all kind of just trying to tinker around with the environment and see what we could do. And when we started stumbling upon these gongs, we found that each time you rung one, it would bring in a giant boss, a huge, freakish mutant that if you took down, you could actually take his head and put it on this huge sacrificial altar. If you managed to defeat each of these different giant bosses, you could summon a mega enemy. This stuff is so cool, but in order to do it, this is going to need good aim, great communication, and proper use of your specials. So one of the main things they put in this is magic, and lots of it. These come in two different forms. There's your potions, which are basically like your way of using different buffs on the fly. They can do things like make it where you run faster, revive people quicker, do more damage, or one makes it where every time you drink it, it'll actually teleport you to a different random spot on the map. So if you're cornered and completely screwed, you can actually get that last ditch effort to live a little bit longer. And the other style of magic is the giant bonus specials. Now, not all of these are technically magic, but they certainly seem like it. Some of them will give you a magic staff that lets you shoot basically lightsaber lasers out of the tip that instantly cut zombies in half, but some have more standard style of stuff like a minigun with infinite bullets that lets you just mow down hordes of the undead until eventually it runs out. I think that all of this is really cool, especially on certain maps, like the fact that one of the maps we can play on is a cursed version of the Titanic, where at the beginning you smash into the iceberg, but instead of sinking, you just start getting boarded by zombies that are shambling along. Every single one of these courses finally feels exciting. You see, a big problem I've had with zombies in the past is that when it's just some generic laboratory and a couple zombie dogs, it didn't really hit that chord of my imagination. It didn't feel silly enough to really be entertaining. Whereas here, when I'm actually fighting zombie tigers and weird mutant dogs inside of a burnt out prison, this is the stuff that finally feels exciting and fun, and honestly, it makes me want to try and make it to the final wave. So here's something they've done in this that I also really like, which is that as you progress and get to higher levels, you're getting experience points the same way you do in standard multiplayer, and in fact, it basically has the loadouts of standard multiplayer, making it where you can go in and customize particular parts of each gun. Now, you can't go into the map carrying them, but it makes it where if you're going along and you suddenly stumble upon that sniper rifle you love most, well, since you've already tinkered with it on that screen, now when you find it in the map itself, it'll have the functions you enjoy most, making it where good players can get better, and also making it where everything feels very, very basic at the beginning, but as you level up and get crazier and crazier gear, you truly feel like you're ready to face that next impossible challenge. With all the good stuff in this game, I still think that it doesn't feel quite like a whole experience. I'm going to be really frank with you here. This is my number one drawback to this, which is the fact that it does feel like it's missing something. Not having a campaign or something to really give us a chance to just explore some really straightforward levels and blast some freaking people and stop a giant, I don't know, nuclear bomb. Things like that helped tie a Call of Duty game together. So it not being here, it definitely feels like this is only part of a bigger experience. There is something called Specialist HQ, which is supposed to be sort of a single player mode, but it's basically just bot matches with a couple cutscenes. And honestly, it really does kind of suck. I wish that there was something in this, even if it was just a 2-hour campaign that would give us a chance to experiment with maybe the guns we hadn't unlocked yet, or see cool extra areas that just kind of spark that mind to make you want to care about this universe instead of just seeing this as a very cool but very flat multiplayer only experience. Okay, so we've heard a lot of good and some bad, but let's go over to the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Call of Duty Black Ops 4, as it currently is, an 8.5 out of 10. If you're currently on the fence and you're thinking about getting this game, but you haven't bought it already, I'd probably wait. It's just one of those games that I think that they're going to continue to put cool stuff in later, and you shouldn't really feel like you're in a rush to jump into the action, because really, this is something that's going to get a lot of updates, a lot of changes, and eventually a lot of downloadable content. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Oh, hey, I was just playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto on my Darth Vader PSP. Are you curious what I'm going to come out with next? Well, if you click this button, you'll be subscribed to be the first to know. Also, if you click over here and here, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. I promise, it was super good. Or it was really bad, and I'm sure you can just make fun of me in the comments. Either way, it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching.